Cliff, when Turing, I'm going to remind you that you're under oath, by the way. When Turing increased the price of diaphragm by more than 5,000% on August 11, 2015, you were hoping to avoid attracting attention from the media and the public. Is that right?
Yes, of course.
Yes, you were. Despite your best efforts, the price increase soon became a major news story. On October 8th, an outside consultant sent an email to a member of Turing's board of directors laying out a PR strategy. I'm sure you paid a lot for PR here for Turing to respond to this unwanted attention. The consultant suggested that the board remove Mr. Shirelli as CEO, and I quote, as early as next week, end of quote. The consultant also suggested that Turing reduce the price of diaphragm. Is that correct? Come on, talk to me.
I believe that's correct, yes.
You don't know? You're getting these memos with regard. Do you have an answer for me?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, okay. So he wrote, and I quote, the price drop has to be significant and tied to something. This cannot be seen as something that appears to be as arbitrary as a price hike in the first place. You remember that? Unquote.
Yes, I do.
All right. The consultant recommended that Turing issue a press release announcing a, quote, package of patient assistance programs for patients, end of quote. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Did you follow those instructions?
Not all of them.
All right. We're going to talk about that. The consultant also recommended that Turing, quote, specifically tie profits from diaphragm to the research and development of a new and more effective treatment for diaphragm patients. You remember that? End of quote.
Yes, I do.
And that's exactly what you're doing today. And the consultant also suggested a long-term strategy of, and I quote, forcing a focus on Turing as a research and development company, not a pharma hedge fund hybrid, end of quote. Do you remember that?
Yes, I do.
Now, Ms. Retzlaff, this email was forwarded to you by a board member. Do you recall receiving it?
I believe I did, yes.
Okay. It seems that Turing followed most of the consultant's advice with one glaring exception. You never lowered the price of diaphragm. Let me read another email you received from Turing marketing executive on October 2nd, 2015. Since you're so concerned about patients and discounts, she wrote, and I quote, the cause of the inpatient hospital issue is pretty clear now. It's price, end of quote. She continued to quote, and this is what she said. We all realize that we need a solution as soon as possible, but we don't want to commit to something beyond the smaller pack that will potentially debilitate the business and risk future revenues, end of quote. Remember that?
Yes, I do.
Now, Ms. Radcliffe, this email indicates that Turing was aware that its price increase had created issues for inpatient hospitals, as Mr. Cartwright was just saying. It also indicates that Turing was unwilling to do anything to risk future revenues, including actually lowering the price for everyone. Is that fair? Is that a fair reading?
No, it's not a fair reading.
Well, give me what is a fair reading.
So yes, we did learn that price seemed to be an issue with hospitals. So then in November, we actually announced a discounting program for hospitals of up to 50%. And then based on feedback from hospitals, we also introduced a smaller count bottle to alleviate their financial
I'm glad you
burden.
said that. Now let's move on. Let me read an excerpt from an email that Ed Painter, Turing's head of investor relations, sent to Patrick Crutcher, the director of business development, on September 26, 2015. Mr. Painter asked if there was a lower price Turing could announce that would discourage generics from entering the market and generate positive PR. Mr. Crutcher replied, and I quote, it's best we don't PR something like that unless it's something we are willing to commit to doing. He added, quote, only thing to PR is a patient assistance program and the R&D. Mr. Painter replied jokingly, and this is a quote, and maybe you can interpret this for me. Maybe it's millennial talk, I don't know. But it says, my R is banging the D and my pap can't rap, end of quote. Ms. Radcliffe, do you know what that meant, what he was saying?
I'm sorry, I do not.
But this was sent to you. I mean, you didn't read it? You didn't ask him?
I read it, but I don't know what that last sentence means.
There are very real issues for people with compromised immune systems. And this email indicates that despite the promises of lowering the price internally, Turing has no desire to actually fix what it has broken. And the thing that really gets me, Mr. Shirelli, who just sat there, your former CEO, is that right? Walked out of this hearing a few minutes ago, and before he probably got out of the door, he sends a tweet calling everybody on this committee imbeciles. Did you know that?
I was not aware of that.
So instead, you all spent all of your time strategizing about how to hide your price increase behind positive PR and coming up with stupid jokes while other people were sitting there trying to figure out how they were going to survive.
No, that is not true.
And I've said it before, a lot of this is about blood money. And Mr. Stiller, one question for you. You said, and I quote, a few minutes ago, you said, in some cases, we have been too aggressive in increasing prices. You remember saying that?
Yes, I did.
Now, just so that we can be effective and efficient in what we do, are you all going to be reducing prices?
We have looked across our portfolio, and we have reduced prices.
Are you going to continue to reduce prices? You said that you're learning your lesson. You said that Pearson has now apparently he has a new attitude. I want people watching this to know that they are not being ripped off.
We looked across our portfolio. We took a 10% reduction in two of our largest business units, our dermatology division and our ophthalmology division. We reduced by 10%, up to 30% Nitropres and Isoprel. We increased our patient assistance programs. We're going to continue to look at ways to improve access at affordable prices. At the same time, manage our business so we can invest in R&D and manufacturing in places like Rochester and Greenville, South Carolina. We have made mistakes. We grew very quickly. We're acknowledging those mistakes. We're going to change. We're going to be, a responsible corporate citizen and part of the healthcare community, and we've made changes.
So you're going to continue to make those changes? Continue to make changes?
We're always going to look to do the right thing, but we have made significant changes.
Thank you very much, John.